Oh my God, I'm nervous. um, Hi, I'm Shelly, and this is my new knitting podcast. This is Knitting Through the Back Loop. I am joining the podcast sphere of knitters. I absolutely love to just yap away about my knitting. Don't really have knitting friends in real life, and I'm also super awkward at making new friends, so I want to make these videos. I find that it's very easy for me to chat online. I'm very active on TikTok, so if you follow me over there or would like to follow, I'm Shelly Knits. And yeah, we're gonna start a new podcast. So I think it's super important outside of normal podcast format, like introducing myself and see if you even want to follow along. I picked up needles first when I was a little kid, 7 or 8 years old, just learned garter stitch. And then in high school, got really into knitting, had scarves, mittens, and loved texture. So cables, lace, all the different stitches. And then it wasn't until my later 20s I really started to dial in garment knitting. And that's kind of been my journey ever since. I am a toxic caster honor. I will just keep casting on projects. You're going to see I'm going to go through a ton of projects. I think as podcasts progress, they'll come and they'll go. They'll kind of go in seasons, or my mood, or what I set weird deadlines for myself, and they'll come back. Yeah, I also really enjoy watching other podcasts where the podcaster looks like me, having a larger bust size, and I get to see how clothing fits them or see how the garments fit them. I primarily knit sweaters, and occasionally you'll see a cowl or a hat, but for the most part, I really love knitting sweaters. So let's jump in. Let's first start with what I'm wearing. This is the Finest Kind by Alicia Plummer. It really is I think every knitter should knit one of these. I knit it in the yarn, the pattern called for. This is Harrisville Designs sheer. Oh, another thing, I will put notes on everything in the comments because I will absolutely misspeak. I will absolutely forget something and I'll fill it out with what needle I use, what gauge I got, things like that. Also, I have 3 dogs and a toddler. So right now, one of my dogs is barking. I don't know why. Um, for a podcast format, I really enjoy the ones that are one shot, no editing. We'll see if I evolve into something else, but I think we're just gonna get it raw, uncut. This is how my life exists. I should also say I'm in Portland, Maine. See, I'm already off the rails. I'm in Portland, Maine, or just outside of Portland, Maine. So winters are cold, summers are humid. And I have a 2.5-year-old that I sometimes knit for. I have 2 projects in the needles room right now. And my husband's gotten 1 sweater and a bunch of hats in our entire decade of being together. Although he asked for some mods this morning on his 1 sweater that he wears all the time. So yeah, that's about me. All right, back to the knitting. This is Harrisville Design Sheer in the color Hen in the Woods. It's not available anymore, but I have noticed they'll do releases. I haven't seen this since I bought it last winter. I knit this, I think, in the size 5, and I was a little bit off gauge. My gauge is a little bit bigger, so I think this is about a 52 inch. When I casted this on, I was still breastfeeding at the time, so it was going to be oversized then, and now it's really oversized. When I say that I love this sweater, it goes on my body daily. It could be the whole day. It could be just in the evening time. This is my go-to sweatshirt sweater. It is an all over moss stitch. It is knit bottom up. So there are already a few things that may be out of your comfort zone, but I could not recommend the pattern anymore. Alicia walks you through every step of the way. There's a little bit of a cap sleeve with some short rows, which gets a little funky in the texture, but you can't see it. I'm not going to bring it up in my acquisitions today, but I did order this in black and Peace Fleece. So not this. Another yarn from Harrisville Designs, Peace Fleece in black. I really want this in black. I think it would be so cozy. This is woolen spun. It's definitely it's not the softest, but I can wear it next to skin. The only place I'm really sensitive is my neck, but because this has a lower neck, I usually wear a shirt underneath because it can be a little bit see-through because my pearl gauge is terrible. I'll talk about that a lot. but for the most part, like it is so warm. It is so cozy. I absolutely love this. Two other finished objects I wanted to share. One is a Alicia Plummer test knit, and I've done everything but or finish. What am I trying to say? Weaving the ends. There we go. This is the 90s pullover, and that was the back. Here's the front. I knit this in Camarosa Snuff Nug in the color Bordeaux, which I thought it shows up on camera a little bit more maroon. It's actually purple in person. It's really beautiful. This knit in 5 days. I knit a lot. Like I work from home, have a corporate job, lots of meetings. So use that as a gauge, but this was on a 6mm needle. There's no ribbing, so it just flies. Rolled edge on the cuff, the neck you pick up and knit up, and then do the rolled edging, and then again on the hem. I put 2 extra inches in the body, and I used exactly 8 balls. Like I had 1 gram left. Like I was so proud of that moment. I'm trying to be the due date for this was like around January 1st. So I was way ahead of time on the test knit. I want to wear this as my holiday sweater, but I do find, I have a lab, so the yarn kind of attracts all the lint, and I want to be able to take nice pictures for her, so I'm not wearing it, but I just want to live in this. It is so cozy. I knit it a little bit with less ease than she recommends. I have casted on the next size up, smaller needle, different yarn, drops air, and I'll show that in a little bit because I would like a second one of these, and I actually ordered some Wonder Fluff to go up a needle, same size, and see how that performs. But we'll see. But yeah, this I think is going to become, every knitter needs one of these in their closet. That's my theme, I think, for next year, and I'll do another whole podcast on that one. But this is beautiful. Yeah. Can't wait to get some photos of that. And yeah. I should also say one of the reasons why I'm waiting for photos, my house is currently under construction, and what will be my new home office / craft room / studio, if I'm being fancy, has amazing natural light, and I can't wait to get in there and take real photographs of my garments. So right now I'm coming to you from my bed. So if it's a little bit wobbly, it's because my camera's on a tripod on the mattress, and I'm surrounded by boxes while we're waiting to move up. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks we'll be in our 3rd floor, and I'll have my new space. All right. Next finished object. I actually finished this like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but since it's my first podcast, oops, see what I mean about the wobbles? There we go. This is my first pattern that I am writing. It's currently with the tech editor. This is the Bluff Pullover. I knit this in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. It is a 2x2 rib collar, knit top down. So you start with just knitting to create the rolled edge in 2x2 ribbing. You first start with the front instead of the back, which is pretty normal for a drop shoulder. It is a half contiguous sleeve, so you're doing this shoulder in the front, every other row Raglan style. Then you pick up for the back, and when you do that, it creates this nice little edge, like you are pretty common with saddle shoulders. And then the back has this column all the way down. It's one of the, so my other toxic trait when it comes to knitting is that I mod every sweater. So when I wrote the pattern, and I still need to like add a little bit more in there, I wanted to create a pattern that guides you through how to mod a sweater for your own body. So this has the capacity to modify for not necessarily larger chest, but if your upper bust and your chest and your waist have completely different sizes. Like me, I can go, it's like 8 inches to 12 inches between the two, or 11 or 10 inches between the two. between the three. So sweaters just sometimes straight patterns don't fit me that well. So I've learned over the years how I do these mods. So I added in the pattern where there are opportunities for you to add in mods to really customize. It makes it really hard for estimating yardages. That's kind of where we're getting stuck with the tech editors, the grading and the yardage estimates, but we will get there. And I think I'll put in a good buffer and really talk people through that. So this isn't necessarily a beginner pattern. It's going to be a how to start modding your patterns, how to look for opportunities. So the other one I have is that when you are increasing along the raglan, I tell you to try it on because you can decide at what point are you going to be done by where it hits your shoulder. So you have to like also keep in mind like how it's going to change. If you're knitting with superwash, it might change a lot. But when you put it on, like, do I want it to stop right at the corner? Do I want a lot of drape? And for me, I like a lot of drape, but I don't like a lot of extra material under my bust because it just looks really big on me. So I have another mod where you cast off and mattress stitch under the armpit to bring in that body so you can go straight square if you'd like, or if you need to like bring that in so you just feel a little bit more comfortable with less material around your torso. So this is a really fun adventure. I will, again, haven't taken photos of it, which is why I'm not wearing it, and a test call is coming very soon. So please subscribe and throw in the comments if you're interested. I will have a link to a Google form soon, and then we're going to do the test in Discord. I'm also brand new to all of this, so I'm going to learn, and I appreciate your patience while I'm figuring out. I'm really trying to do it the right way, have things size inclusive, tech edited, like really give this a good college try. Yeah, so the cuff also has that. That's my smaller cuff. I did arms 2 different sizes, so I could figure out how I actually wanted to do it, but the cuff came out really, really nice. Love this. Oh, and the color is Dusty Olive from Knitting for Olive. It's really pretty. I actually picked up some Durham Natura Gilead, and I'm going to knit with Test Knitters a second version of this in a navy blue. I think that'll be really pretty. I have heard, I think Rebecca Clow in her podcast has talked about when she knits in navy blue, it's harder to photograph. So luckily this is a pretty simple sweater. So I'm kind of hoping it will still photograph well and it'll just be a beautiful navy blue sweater. So that is a wrap on finished objects. I have a couple other a little bit older, and I think I'll just share them as I wear them during the podcast. Whips. When I tell you I have a problem casting on, I genuinely do. And then all of a sudden I'll just be like, heads down, get them done. I think I finished 5 sweaters in 6 weeks, but the oldest one was almost a year old. So it's just kind of how I roll there. Let's go, where do I even start? Let me go with the closest to being completed. Let's do that. So I really wanted to, I think it was starting to get cold, and I was like, I need a sweater that is going to keep me very warm. And I also wanted a stash busting sweater. I'm very lucky that the sweater's kind of a mess. I'm like halfway through ripping the collar out. I live in Maine, and there was a mill, Jaeger Spun, that was here in Maine that closed last spring. And all of their inventory, they did a clearance sale. I bought a few things. I'm looking over there because I have a pile of yarn and boxes right now. I bought some sweater quantities from them last spring, and the remaining of their inventory went liquidation in a store called Martin's. It was distributed throughout the state. I went to 3 different Martins and got my fair share of some sweater quantities of this yarn. This particular sweater, as I'm going to shove the collar that I'm ripping out, because I got so much yarn, I wanted to do some stash busting. This, I am holding a fingering sock. This is superwash in the color raw umber. It's a very dark chocolate brown with some heathering of some warmer brown in there. I'm also holding it with 75% Black Mountain Welsh and Dorset. I think that's what it is, but I'll put it in. This is a DK weight. So I have a fingering and a DK and 2 strands of Drops Kid Silk in their dark brown. It has like purple undertones to it. I have I wanted to knit something that was all mohair, and I got a sweaters quantity, and I just never got around to doing it. So all in all, this is about a 15 stitch gauge. I self-drafted this. So here's my big giant sweater. It is a contiguous sleeve with a shoulder, a faux saddle into, so hold that up. I increased, of course this is dark brown, so you probably can't see it. I increased every round on the outside until I reached the point I would try it on until I reached basically the corner where I wanted to start the faux set-in sleeve look. And then I switched to every other round on the body side. And nope, every 4th round on the body side, every other round on the shoulder side, and just kind of started to open up that shoulder. It's knit on a 6mm, so even for all that yarn on a 6mm, it's a tight gauge. I went really, really long in the body. Right now it's sitting like below my hip, and I just picked up for a sleeve. I should get this done this week. It is so warm and so soft. Mohair doesn't really bother me a whole lot, and I find the darker the Drops Kid Silk, the softer it is. I think that's what, I don't know. I definitely notice a difference from different colors. But this has been a blast of just like knit and make up as I go. I kind of think I'd like to write it as a pattern. I think having really warm, thick stash busters are great. I did a bunch of gauge swatches too around this. Like I think I held, one of them was a mohair and 3 fingering. It may even been like 1 sport and 2 fingering weight. I think that was what was in there. And for this like beautiful marled look, I am swapping out the collar because at the bottom, I forget, I saw a creator on TikTok who was also quoting another creator that she couldn't remember who it was, where in the hem, if you want a straight look rather than having your ribbon go in, you do one, so you switched your smaller needle. So I went from a 6mm to a 4.5mm on the bottom, and you do 1 full round of knitting. But in that round of knitting, you increase every 7 stitches. So your 7, you knit through the front loop, knit through the back loop. So your 7th stitch becomes number 7 and number 8. And when you knit through the back loop, it creates a little tiny purl, so it looks beautiful when you go around and start ribbing. That extra little ratio helps kind of fill in the gaps of where it would squish it in, and then you get left with really beautiful ribbing that's tight and neat, but your sweater goes straight. So that's what I'm going to redo on the collar. I might even go down to a 4mm on the collar to kind of like give it that mock neck. And then I want to do 3 or 4 inches. That was 4 inches on the bottom, so 3 or 4 inches on the sleeve. So it's like my creative little outlet, and it knits so fast. Like I'm doing decreases in the sleeves every 3 rounds. And I just got Chiagu Shorty Fatties, the yellow package. I've never had the shorties before. And I'm going to see if that will knit a little bit faster than Magic Loop. If not, I might just go back to Magic Loop. I probably will have to for the ribbing anyways. So that's my little, I'm calling it the Mistral Sweater. We'll see if it becomes something else. I might just like share my formula, but it also looks haggard right now. So maybe after I show you when it looks nice, someone else might want to knit it. We'll see. So that is super close. It's been fun knitting on that. Let's talk about one of my older ones. Okay, third knitting toxic trait is that I will turn everything into a Henley. I will start a cardigan with all the intention to have a cardigan, and then I'll be like, I don't feel like purling anymore, and I will join in the round. I'll cast on a little bit and then join. Let me get this organized. So this is the DRK Everyday Cardigan. Let's see if that folds. I am knitting this in Shaggy Bear Farms. I'm not really showing this off very well. Here we go. Shaggy Bear Farms Bunny and Rambouillet lace weight held double. Oh my god! Every time I touch it, it's like this soft, fluffy, but still kind of rustic. It's it's beautiful. It's undyed. I think it's undyed. Shaggy Bear Farms is Oregon. They're a rescue farm, which I think is really cool. Their website's a little painful to get through, but I highly, highly recommend. It's worth the journey. Do it on a desktop. Don't do it on your phone. There's some really amazing yarn. I actually have another of my Bluff Pullover in Tremboulet. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And Bunny 50/50 fingering held double for like a worsted weight. It's hitting more DK, and the drape on it's beautiful. And I'll show that eventually. But for this, my little turn a cardigan into a Henley, I estimate what I either would like or what I think the pattern calls for. There's my join. For, what am I thinking of? The edge, the button band. This one's a little bit bigger. I'll probably pull in a little bit tighter and I'll cast on for that. And then what I will do is when I do the button band, I will knit one side, knit the other, just as if it was the bottom, and then I'll sew that down. I might pick the front one up so it's a little bit cleaner, and then sew the back one down. That's probably not focusing on. Yeah, so I'm just knitting in around. This one's a little bit on the back burner. I'm kind of making a conscious decision to like anything that's sport weight, even some of my DK, I'm going to put on pause and put on the back burner so I can focus on my heavier winter knits or my knits for my kids. One kid right now. So that's a little bit slow process, but it's just so delightful, the tactile when you're knitting, that I'm drawn to it when I just want some plain stockinette. So that one is coming along great. Speaking of plain stockinette, if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I am knitting my Grinch sweater. This is the Hannah sweater from Petite Knit. It is knit in the new Sam Discard Atlas, which I am finding really enjoyable to knit with. I felt pretty good about my rowing out, except for a few spots. I really do struggle with my purl gauge. I'm finding my pickup is very tight there. So hopefully that will block out a little bit for me. My increase rows. Oof. So I really struggle with rowing out, which is, I finally figured out what the term is. So my purl gauge is a lot more loose than my knit gauge, and I always go down at least one needle. I think with this yarn, I would have done better going down 2 needle sizes, but I think it would have really screwed with my row gauge. I'm also starting to just like embrace when I'm knitting and I get interrupted or I need to put something down, I'll often just like slide the stitches down the needle and put it down, pick it back up, and then move the stitches closer together and then finish knitting again. I've noticed that whenever that happens, my gauge gets a little bit wonky. Let's see if I can find my spot. Yeah, like I have some in there. And it used, like right here, it used to really bother me, or I'd be like annoyed that I would get interrupted. But now I just kind of think of like these are all the moments where my kid interrupts me and needs me for something, and I can just like, I don't know what they were at the time, but I can just look back and think, okay, that's what happened there and there and there and there. But it's pretty fun. So this is in the color Moss. I'm calling it my Grinch sweater because when I started my gauge swatch, my husband was like, oh, nice Grinch sweater. And I didn't want to knit it anymore. And I put it down. And all I could see was Grinch. So then I posted on TikTok about it. And they were like, no, we don't listen to the boys. We don't listen to them at all. It on camera, it's much more olive green than in person. It's pretty Grinchy in person. But I've just kind of embraced it. It's really pretty up against chocolate brown. So now clearly that's why it's trending. It looks beautiful together. This will be a V-neck. I am in just on the body, knitting in the round. It knit so fast. Again, another like enjoyable sensory knit. I found it to be really, not really sticky, but it had a smooth toothiness to it. And of course, this ball I pulled from the center, adding a few more rows in the back panel. So it's a little lost there. But, so toothing when you knit it, but it knits up really smooth. I'm excited to like fully block it. The other thing I'm really noticing, the dog hair does not stick to it. There's no lint. There's no dog hair. Even coming in and out of my project bag, like I'm not seeing a lot of pilling. There's a little bit of a haze, a little bit of fuzz in there. It's definitely not the softest. It's on the more rustic side, but not like rustic. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this new yarn. It's super fast. I'm on a 6mm. Am I on a 6mm? 5mm. I'm on a 5mm, and I think the pattern calls for 4mm. I'm probably a little bit off gauge. On a worsted weight 5mm, I tend to get 17 stitches, and the pattern's for 18. So I ended up sizing down. That's what I did. I ended up sizing down. The pattern calls for a massive amount of positive ease. I'm actually knitting a size small, which is hilarious because I'm not a small. But with that little bit of gauge adjustment, I did the math for the bust of like where I land. I think it's going to be right around a 48-inch bust. But we'll see. I think anything in that range I'll be really happy with. I'm very excited when I finish this ball. I'm going to pick up for the collar because the collar is a 2x2 and it's very specific instructions to make sure that you have the center two are knitting here. So I want to put that on and see what that's going to look like. I think it'll look really clean trying on. I have not tried this on yet, which is also not like me. I'm kind of just like, well, whatever happens, we'll see where it lands. But I'm a little bit bummed by that tension in there. I must have been pulling that one tight. But yeah, this knit's so fast. I've kind of like moved. I have some other dopamine projects right now that I am gravitating more. There's two right next to me, which is why. So I haven't, it's basically since I joined in the round, I've kind of put this a little bit slower. But I'm excited to finish that. I think this will be a good holiday sweater. And spring, I think when I'm not in Christmas season, I may not think it's as Grinchy. We'll see. Okay. My dopamine sweaters. I casted on the same day 2 petite knit sweaters, and it kind of made me realize like I have a mess down here, so I'm sorry I'm not looking at you. I really need to start just like embracing the pattern that I really want to knit. I have plenty of yarn from Stash, and I think I have yarn that I love that I'm waiting for the perfect pattern, and I have patterns that I love that I can't commit to what yarn to use. So I just get like swirling in my brain of like, what am I going to do? And I just need to cast on. Just need to cast on. Because at the end of the day, it's just knitting, and if I don't like the way it's coming out, I can just stop or swatch. And I've done plenty of swatching, and I can do like a little swatch fest with you sometime of the swatches that I swatched up and didn't like them. So I had a swatch of this particular combination and fell in love with it and was like, what am I going to do with this? And immediately thought of all the other patterns, went to my queue of the patterns I really wanted to knit, saw the Ingrid, the petite knit Ingrid. I've never really loved the eyelets on it. I was like, you know what, just do it. And turns out I love this pattern. It is so fun to knit. All right, so what am I doing? I'm organizing this so I can show you. I have finished the back panel. It was so fun to knit. Also, I am terrible at reading patterns and didn't actually read the note of how to do the crisscross. I thought it was a cable. And I was late at night knitting it, like we use red lights at night, trying to do these cables, couldn't do it. I'm holding with mohair. I was like so frustrated, like I'm never gonna get through this sweater. And then I was watching Hand Knit by Florence. When I'm knitting complex sweaters, I like to go into YouTube and find other people that have made that. Maybe I could pick up some tips or things, mods they made. Because I have a hard time like reading through project notes because most of them aren't that great on Ravelry. But when you sort by most helpful, it definitely gives you a few in there. So anyways, I'd like to just like see how, if it's their body, how they present. Like you just need the video format, maybe not written or even photos. So I was watching Handmade by Florence. She was talking about how much she loved that section because it was a faux cable. And, oh, that's the other sweater. My spirally that I need to share with you. I'll throw that in at the end. So it's the same stitch the right way as my spirally, which I'm looking over there. And it, so then I went back and read the pattern. I was like, oh, I'm doing that wrong. And then it flew. So it was super fun. Got through the ribbing, and then I picked up for the shoulders. I have one done through the eyelets, and I just need to do the eyelets, then I'll join, and then do the other crisscross sections. What am I knitting with? Another Jaeger spun. This is the BFL undyed. They call it the oatmeal. It's a sport weight, but it blooms into anything. I really, really love this. I have several sweater quantities of cones. My last little run to the store, I found a batch of them. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to knit a stripe height. I'm going to knit, using this, a Lumi I really want to do with this with like a purple. There's just like a lot I could do. I swatched it held double and it just turned into this really thick, enjoyable sweater. I'm really drawn to natural tones. Like I mostly knit in browns and beige and gray because I like the color of natural sheep. And then eventually I'll do something wild like that moss green, or I have like a hot pink sweater that's swirling in my brain. Anyways, I'm holding it with Katya's mohair. It's my first time using this too. So these two held together create just like this beautiful haze. And I really hope the stitch definition is coming through. I'm always nervous pairing a mohair when doing something that has a texture where you want to see it. And I apologize if like I'm not showing everything. I'm gonna move it around. I promise I'll get better at podcasting as I go. I just need to get started rather than thinking about it. I gotta just do it. So this is such an enjoyable knit. I forget the color of the mohair. It's one of their natural beige. It's a little bit lighter than the BFL, and it's wonderful. So looking forward to joining in the round on that. And then I did knit on, what am I using? I'm doing I always have to check because I go down at that needle for purling. 4.5 on the knit side and a 4 on the 4mm, not US needle sizes because I don't keep track of those. Even in texture, I have found that I still need to do the 2 different needle sizes because it's the way the knit stitch presents. If those look even, I find the whole garment looks better. So my ribbing or even like the seed stitch, as long as I go down with off the purl so the knits present the same, it doesn't look bad. I'm doing well with the 4 and 4.5 on this. So yeah, that's super fun. I hope to have that soon. just because I want to wear it. I'm very excited to wear that. Okay, next dopamine knit. I was not going to cast this on. I bought this pattern a long time ago. It is the I bought the Esther Pullover. And I saw 2 separate TikTokers recently finish their Esther Jacket, and I thought, oh, I really want that. Will I make it as a cardigan? We'll see. We'll see. Let me hold it the right way. Esther Jacket. Sorry, interrupted. And this will not be my one-shot podcast. I will have to edit that and put those together. That's okay. That's what happens when you have a family. So I saw two people on TikTok post about their finished Esther Jacket, and I immediately thought that I needed one of these. The Esther Jacket is knit with a little bit heavier weight, still a little bit bigger of a gauge to give it like that really dense jacket feel. So I am holding another Dorset Black Mountain Welsh, I'm probably saying it wrong, blend from my Mistral Sweater, but this one is 25% Black Welsh, 75% Dorset, so it's a nice gray. And I'm holding that with a sport weight. So this is a DK. I'm holding this with a sport weight. This is from Jaegerspun as well. Let me go look at it. It is their green line. So it's organic wool, naturally dyed in the color Fog. It's a beautiful stony gray. There's some warmth to it, some tonality to it. And it is it's delightful to knit with. So I'm holding these 2 double. I have to knit this very slowly because I'm also knitting it on a smaller needle for that gauge. It's a 4.5. It's a 5 millimeter. Still doing the 2 different sizes for the purling situation. I have to just like knit this in pieces and put it down because it does make my hands hurt a little bit. But the fabric on this is incredible. I have about 2 more inches to go before the back panel is done. And then I'll start on the front. So this is kind of like my slow knit. To be honest, I was frustrated in the very beginning because I felt like I had to just stare at the chart and count. I couldn't read it on the purl side. I had a really, really hard time knowing where I was. I was doing a lot of taking back or like swapping knits to purls to knits when I was on the knit side and could actually read the knitting. But now that I'm in it, I kind of know the stitch counts. It's a 6, it's a 9, it's a 3, like, or every other. Like, I kind of have an idea of the rhythm in my head that it's now becoming much more enjoyable. I actually went for dinner at my in-laws last night and could knit on this without looking at my phone. And I got a whole pearl diamond in. So, will this be a cardigan? I don't know. It might need to just be a hemline because I think it would be really fun, but it would be a really nice cardigan. And I need to wrap my head around, it's okay to knit cardigans because you can wear a cardigan over another sweater. Now you're wearing double knits, and that sounds absolutely delightful. Really loving that. I'm not done because that's what I do. I cast on things constantly. The next 2 sweaters are kid sweaters. This first one, or garments. The first one is a vest. I am knitting the snowy vest for my toddler. I'm knitting this in the smallest size for him because I knew my gauge would be a little bit off because he's a skinny kid, but he's tall for 2.5. He's in like 3T, 4T in order to like fit his torso, although I'm knitting this in the smallest kid size. I have gotten through the 3 color work section, which was a pain in the ass. I did not enjoy that, but thank God. The dreams of us knitting matching sweaters for the whole family are definitely gone. I will only knit this for him. I am knitting with an undyed superwash fingering held with an undyed mohair. Honestly, I lost the label. That's a silk and mohair. Yeah, that's not a alpaca. Knitting for Olive in Dusty Green. That's the leftover half skein from my Bluff Pullover. And then the regular merino with mohair in the navy blue. So I have to do, I'm really comfortable as of like a year ago knitting with two hands, color work two-handed. And this I actually got really more comfortable catching floats two-handed. So I got into nice rhythm. So I just need to like sit down one evening and get through the rest of the chart and finish the snow. I'm only doing the vest. So once the snow is done, it's just the arms through. I think it's a 3 needle bind off after you do both sides, and then the ribbing. So this will be super fun. The 3 color work makes a very dense fabric. So I'm glad I'm only doing the vest. And I'm hoping when it blocks, it kind of relaxes, but it's going to be like pretty narrow, pretty thick. And then, you know what I mean? Like the fabric density is going to be pretty puffy in the middle. So we'll see where that lands. But definitely I thought it would be a process knit and I would enjoy it. It's a product knit. And I'm very excited to dress him in silly seasonal clothing while I still can. The last sweater I'm working on with him is a little bit of an adventure. I've always wanted to knit for myself a traveler. Andrew Mowry's hooded Traveler series hooded pullover. I think it comes in a crew neck too. And I have lots of sport weight from Jägerspun. This is their rag. I was an adventure. I graded it down for my kid. So it's a little bit hard to see in the black, but I think it's going to work. I am almost done with the body. It's knit bottom up, and then I will do the front and the back. We'll see how the hood comes out. I might end up just doing the crew because I think grading the hood might be really, really hard. But this is my like car knit. I keep it in my little project bag. This is so old. From Hollyberry on Etsy. I have a bunch of project bags, but this is a pretty fun one. Actually, this is my only real project bag. Everything else is a boat and tote, a Trader Joe's sardines bag, and my Azores bag when I took a trip to the Azores 3 years ago with my family. So, project bags. This is a really fun adventure. Practice my grading, especially as I'm dabbling more and more in pattern design, and it's been a fun challenge. So I encourage you to try that if you wanted to figure out how to grade, especially for one size. Take an adult size pattern, a kid size pattern. And if anyone ever wants this, just shoot me a note, show me proof that you've actually bought it, and I am more than happy to share how. Well, let's see how I finish it and see if you even want it. But if it comes out okay, I'd be more than happy to share where I landed with my numbers to make this. I think I shot for like a 26-inch bust, 25-inch bust, which will give him about 3 inches of positive ease right now. We'll see how long that lasts. Might have to block it out if it takes me too long to finish this. All right, that is it for my active whips. I have plenty of others that you'll see come and go as I podcast. And I have some acquisitions. Oh, I was going to show you my spirally. I think that's going to have to stay for next time because if I get up and go and get that, although I've already ruined my one shot tag. Let me go get it. Okay, so this is my third finished object. I finished this a couple weeks ago, and the Italian bind off sat forever, like forever. I just wasn't gonna do it. But let me first talk about the pattern and the yarn. This is the Spirally by Pickles. It is one of the more stunning sweaters for something so simple. When you put it on, the drape from the yarn. I have a bad habit of choking yarn. I tend to, if I start by having the yarn and knitting a gauge to just figure out what fabric I like, I tend to lean towards more denser fabric. And then I'll go and find a pattern. Like that's one of the many ways I go and figure out what I'm going to knit next. And with this one, this is the Corriedale Confetti from Junction Fiber Mill. It was a limited batch last February. I bought it for my birthday for myself. So it has sari silk speckles in it and an undyed Corriedale in this beautiful chocolate brown. Like it's really stunning. So I really liked how it looked to my swatch with a denser gauge. And I think I even knit this off gauge with that smaller gauge. And it needed more room to breathe. So that was my hard lesson. The other thing is that I have always struggled with the full tubular bind off or Italian bind off. It's usually tight. And this isn't very tight because the sleeves, this is all knit bottom up. So the sleeves are great. I really love how that came out. I knit this bottom off, but I didn't do the bottom ribbing. I have a longer torso, another one of those mods, that I wanted to give myself some buffer. If I needed to go more in the ribbing, I had that flexibility. So I posted this on TikTok of like, how can I make my Italian bind off or like the sewn part of it better? Because I have struggled with it always being too tight. When you go to wear it, you expect to have a certain amount of give and it's not there. And everyone talks about how they're so stretchy. And I just don't find it that stretchy. Even with my hacks, it's just not that. I don't know what I'm expecting. And maybe that this is it, but I like hit that tension point. This is better than in past for me. One of the things I did for the tubular setup, so when you do the double knitting, I went up 2 needle sizes. And that gave me a lot more fabric. So when you close the edge, it just had some more space in order to stretch. And then when I was doing it, I was really conscious to like, there's a good section right there to give it extra yarn as needed. But I just found that I think I don't like the look of it when I'm knitting when it has extra. It looks sloppy. So when it goes tighter, it looks a lot better, but then there's no stretch. So anyways, I am still learning that process. And then I had the needles busy on something else when I needed to do the collar. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do Italian bind off and just do it loose all the way around. And this came out a lot better. It's a little bit floppy, but when you wear it, it does kind of stand up. The other thing I ran into with this yarn is that for the most part, I can handle scratchy wool. This right around my neck, I found to be very sensitive, like right at the base of my neck. And I'll post a link to it, found on Reddit. Unicorn Baby, they have a wool conditioner. So I gave this a nice bath in the conditioner and it dramatically helped. I still probably need to get like a mock neck or a turtleneck shirt underneath. It's a little bit scratchy in there, but the rest of my body was fine. So I'm very excited about that. So that was my 1, 2, 4. I thought I had a 5th sweater in 6 weeks. Maybe not, maybe just 5. Maybe it was just 5. Listen to me. I'm fine. I'm knitting plenty of sweaters. This I actually cast on last February as soon as I got the yarn. The spirally was in my queue for years. Was totally intimidated by a bottom-up sweater. This was the first one I casted on. Although I did the pop-em pullover from Alicia as a test knit. And then this was bottom-up. And then I finished this. So it wasn't the first I finished. The first I cast on, I finally was like, we're going to do this. And I really loved how it came out. It is very dense. It's very heavy. There's a lot of yarn in them. Okay, acquisitions. I went and visited a local yarn shop of mine that I'd never been to before, Mother of Pearl up in Freeport. They're about a half hour from me. Living outside of Portland, like there's like 3 in Portland alone. There's 1 in Scarborough. So it was fun to venture up there. I wanted to get the Chiagu Shorty Fatties. and they had some in stock I saw online. So I popped in and got my hands on some wool dreamers. I'm going to pronounce them wrong. Riconata. Yeah, that's probably right. I took French. I can't speak Spanish. I also can't speak well to begin with. So I got it in the undyed Tiara Natural. So that's the brown. And then the Verde version of that. So it's overdyed with green, but it has a lot of that dark underneath. I got a sweater quantities of both. I did not realize, so I've not knit a Lakes pullover, and if you spend any time on TikTok, that's basically your application to join KnitTok is to knit a Lakes pullover. I swear to God. I didn't realize that this is one of the yarns the pattern calls for. So I think I'm leaning towards this green. Oh, the brown has like a purpleness to it. It might just be the lighting right now. It's really pretty. I'm leaning towards the green, and I think I need one more skein. So we're going to head up there for LL Bean does a really cool Christmas lights, Santa whole thing in their courtyard. The LL Bean campus is massive up in Freeport. So I think we're going to go up and do that with my kiddo next week. So I might swing in and get one more skein of the green so I can try the Lakes pullover. I think that'd be really fun. It's a beautiful yarn. There were great colors. And then with the brown, I think I want to go also grab a natural from them. They had some in stock and save that for color work. I think I've yet to knit a Jennifer Steingass sweater. So if you've knit a Jennifer Steingass sweater and have any recommendations for DK worsted, and you enjoy, I think this would be really pretty with a white color work yoke. Or it's like cream, it's their natural base. So that was one of my recent acquisitions. Stopping there. I had a partial sweaters quantity of Peace Fleece in like their lighter brown, not beige, but like a warm brown. They had a couple more in stock, so dye lots, it's fine. I'll probably end up doing sleeves with those. So that is another one. The wheels are turning. I think that'd be really fun color work with Junction Fiber Mill in one of their making tracks. Yeah, it's right in front of me. Maybe. So yeah, that's all that I have today. I hope you enjoyed tuning in. Maybe listen to all the way to the end. And if you want like short little snippets, come find me on TikTok as Shelly Knits. I would really appreciate if you subscribed and liked this. This is my first post ever. I have a few shorts that I've been sharing, but we're going to give it a shot long format. So, yeah, we'll see how often I post. We'll see if these videos get better. We'll see if this even recorded. I have no idea. But thank you, and we'll see you soon.